How many times have we heard the ecclesiastical authorities of any religion condemn homosexuality? Above all, I am amazed that all their speeches, full of hatred and intolerance, draw inspiration from what they call sacred books. Everyone ignores that these primitive texts were written in times in which no one was recognized the right to be able to freely express themselves, and any behavior that deviated from the official doctrine was considered a heresy, which as such, had to be severely punished, often with death. How many people they have made suffer because of their intolerance, and they continue to do so. Today, human beings have earned, at the price of strenuous battles fought against a retrograde mentality, the right to a certain degree of freedom, emancipation and respect for their own diversity. Also and above all for that of a sexual nature. Although much work remains to be done, gradually, but surely, the old paradigms will disappear and be replaced by others that better meet the needs of modern man. Trying to prevent human beings from freely expressing their nature is pure illusion, and all representatives of archaic religions should have the intellectual honesty to admit it. The current human being certainly proves to be more human and wiser than the fanatics of past eras, authors of those sacred books, which are at the origin of the suffering and violence inflicted on those whose only fault was to have opinions and behaviors different from those commonly accepted. Unfortunately, our society has not yet completely freed itself from certain primitive influences, but history teaches us that the reactionaries, the intolerant and religious fanatics, are destined to give way to individuals more aware of the era in which we are living and more loving towards the neighbor. Interestingly, the original teachings transmitted by the ancient prophets, founders of major religions, never condemned diversity, but always encouraged people to develop and express their uniqueness. As we well know, their words were then betrayed and distorted over the centuries, ending up getting lost among stupid, guilty and discriminatory dogmas. True spirituality never derives from guilt or social normalization, which conforms like robots to repressive traditions. On the contrary, they should foster freedom and happiness, encouraging others to be different from others. A new world will inevitably be born, which will do justice to the sacrifices made by mankind, due to the stupidity of some individuals. What do I think of homosexuality? Everyone has the right to dispose of his body as he wishes. Homosexuality is not a normal or abnormal behavior. Everyone simply must have a sexual life, in harmony with their tastes and natural tendencies. The sexual differentiation of an individual in the mother's womb occurs very late. There are very virile men and some very feminine. Some very virile women and some very feminine. And in between an infinite range of nuances. All of this is genetic. Therefore, reproaching a homosexual for being homosexual is as stupid as reproaching a man for being a man, or a cat for being a cat. There are many animals that are homosexuals. In fact, it is not uncommon to see scenes in the countryside where dogs or cattle of the same sex enjoy themselves pleasantly. What is not natural is wanting to force others to live our same sexuality. It's usually what all those who martyr people who don't look like do. These are generally the same ones who are racist, traditionalist, militarist. Aggression towards homosexuals is a form of racism. It comes from people who have poor sex lives, and who cannot tolerate others being happy living something different. The same people who condemn homosexuality will very easily forgive a man who rapes a woman, even if it is a horrendous crime. Fortunately, there are many conscious people who love and respect human beings, regardless of their sexuality. Because they are aware that love for differences is a fundamental value, enshrined in the Charter of Human Rights. It establishes that every human being must consider himself free to be able to realize himself, using his own body as he best wishes. How can one continue to belong to the Catholic religion when the Church persists in condemning homosexuality and prevents women from accessing the priesthood? Two proofs of racism and sexism, which help to make those with eyes see the truth. Loving means loving what is different from me, other cultures, other races, other religions. If every human being were enriched by the diversity of the others, then all of humanity would benefit from it. An evolved society should therefore not only accept differences, but encourage them. 300 years ago, homosexuals were beaten, humiliated and even killed. 100 years ago, they risked being hanged. 50 years ago, they would have been whipped and sentenced to tens of years in prison. 20 years ago, they would have been fined and sentenced to 2 years imprisonment. 5 years ago, they would have been fined and then released. Today, they are insulted. As you can see, society is very close to understanding how much respect for each individual, be at the basis of freedom and love for differences. There is still a lot of work to be done for human beings, to be able to live their lives happily. Because happiness is actually the only reason we exist. It is a fundamental right and the common goal of every individual on earth. But we can only achieve it by developing a deep feeling of love. Unfortunately, this is completely absent on our planet. And only thanks to it, we can hope to save humanity. If there is no love, it will be the end.